Hi guys, and welcome back to the Face It podcast. Thank you very much for joining us here today. I am with the lovely Haylee from HB Aesthetics. So thank you for coming on to the Face It podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I'm very excited to talk to you. However, I think that you should introduce yourself, let us know a bit about you and how you got into the aesthetics world.
So my name is obviously Haylee. I've been in the beauty and aesthetics industry for about 20 years now. It all started for me. I was 16, and at that time I was having a baby at that point, and I was deciding what I was going to do. Back then, obviously, aesthetics wasn't really a massive thing. It was all a big secret. So I decided to go into beauty therapy, started basics on level 2. And I did that beauty therapy, obviously, because I had a daughter alongside that. And then I decided that actually I wanted to go into doing sort of more stuff in aesthetics, things like that. So I decided to enroll on a nursing degree, which obviously took me 3 years. Started there. The moment that I finished that, I embarked onto an aesthetics course. I started on an aesthetics, enrolled onto an aesthetics course. It was looping off. Enrolled onto an aesthetics course for about a 2 days training course. And then from there, I started doing aesthetics, literally started very small from my mum's living room, just literally doing a few clients here and there. And then I started working for a big company, and then I was still working alongside working for the NHS, building my clinic. And then a year ago, I was lucky enough to build up to get my own clinic, and now I've got this lovely clinic that I work from, and obviously have other girls that work for me too. And we've got a lovely academy, so we teach aesthetics. And yeah, that's pretty much it really of how I really started.
I mean, it sounds amazing. There's a real kind of transition and just career progression, I suppose, kind of starting from beauty therapy, nursing, aesthetics, now training as well, which is fantastic. How have you kind of felt about your journey, like looking back on it now and the transitions you've made? How do you like feel about it overall?
So I feel like, overall, like it's been amazing for me. I feel like times are changing now, obviously, regulations and aesthetics. And, so since when I first started back doing aesthetics, things have just gone absolutely crazy now, which they have. There's sort of no regulations. It's not very safe, aesthetics. So it has changed an awful lot from when I first started doing it, because when I first started doing it, on courses, it was only medical that was allowed to enroll on courses. And obviously now it's just gone crazy out there. And it needs to just be a little bit more safer for everybody, so that we're all working from the same page, really. But yeah, other than that, then yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose naturally now, I think naturally now, obviously, I want to kind of ask you your thoughts surrounding the potential regulations that are coming in, and potentially how that might affect you and your business.
So obviously with me and my business, it will make it safer for everybody, and we'll all be on the same page. Non-medics, medics, this whole divide, which is really not fair, this whole divide, because the government have allowed absolutely anybody to be able to do it. So you've got, ladies out there that they will come to me and they've spent absolutely thousands on training, but they've not really gotten any idea, or, where it's not regulated. And every course that you're doing, some girls will get on training and they don't even know what Botox is, but they know how to inject it, so I feel like it just needs to be safe for everybody, so that we're all on the same page, rather than it just being sort of iggity-piggity and all over the place and anyone can do anything. Because obviously there's a lot of complications and dangerous things that you can cause to people, like bum fillers, things like that. You can end up killing somebody basically from infections and stuff like that. So I feel like it just needs to be sort of regulated, so that everybody's on the same page. You all do the same training, whether or not you're a medic or a non-medic, whatever you are, that we're all working safely. Yeah, And that's pretty much it, really, that I feel on the matter. And obviously, you know, being kind as well, because in this industry now, where it is just all over the place, you've got people trying to take money from people from all angles, telling them this or that, and it's just not really fair. And that's why I feel like it just needs to be regulated, really.
Yeah, definitely. I agree in terms of regulation, ensuring that the safety is paramount of everybody involved, like us as the practitioners, obviously our clients. It's very much a kind of two-way thing. I kind of have two questions for you. One of them being, what's your thoughts specifically on the medic, non-medic argument, I'm going to say, going on here?
So for me, that I will be totally honest, I do believe that if you are a non-medic, that you should be trained by a medic, and that is my belief. Okay, and the reason that I believe that is because when you do a degree, like a medical degree, like nursing or anything like that, we are taught and ingrained a certain set of skills. Does that make sense? So for me, that's where I stand on the divide. So I help non-medics and I teach non-medics because I feel that, you know, we're all as one, really. But I feel like it's not fair for you to be taught by somebody that may have been practicing for 6 months and then they're offering training courses. I think that is totally wrong, because you've got no experience, no expertise to be offering people. I mean, I didn't start teaching until I'd been doing aesthetics for probably like 6 or 7 years. I've only been teaching for a couple of years, because obviously I feel like you need experience, expertise, so that you can offer that to people. And I think that's where it's not safe. So I am totally with medics, because obviously the government have allowed anybody and everybody to be able to do it. However, though, it just needs regulating so that we're all working from the same page and that it's safe for everybody. Does that make sense? So yeah, I'm not really, I don't believe that there is a divide. You know, I do believe that you shouldn't be a parking attendant and all of a sudden you're coming into a clinic and you're allowed to inject. I don't believe in that. But I do believe that, you know, if you're a beauty therapist, and you're, you know, trained to a high standard, then you are absolutely fine doing injectables.
Yeah,
And
I
that's what I
fully
think.
understand what you're saying and the way you've explained it. So would you say that maybe some part of the responsibility also lies with these training academies and the people who are actually delivering this training rather than just the non-medic practitioners?
Exactly, because, you know, there could be a medic offering a course and they might not touch base on everything that you need to touch base on, because on a one-day course there's so much to learn, especially if you're brand new. And even if you are a medic and you're going to learn aesthetics, you're still learning a whole new treatment. Does that make sense? So it's always like lifelong learning. And that's why I'm saying, if you are already a medic, you've already got sort of quite a big baseline of medical things. So if anything's to go wrong, there's a lot of things that you can offer, if that makes sense. So in my training, for instance, I'll relate sort of necrosis, skin changes, things like that, to pressure sores, because obviously that's how we grade it if we work into the hospital. So you can see like skin changes, things like that. So I believe that as a medic, I can sort of display and put an understanding into somebody to understand these things and highlight complications. Vasovagals, obviously, you know, someone could have a vasovagal seizure, you know, and if you're not a medical, never been put in that environment or learned any first aid, CPR, you're literally going to be like, same as me. I'm a nurse and somebody's had a vasovagal on me before, and I'm like, does that make sense? So everybody's always going to feel like that. So this whole divide between non-medic, medic, it's not fair. I don't agree with any of the bullying on that. Like it's so bad, and I don't agree with absolutely any of that, because the government have allowed this to go on. So why should these people that are non-medics that have paid thousands for training be pushed out and said, you know, you're not allowed to do that now, because the government has allowed this to happen? So that's my views on it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's one of those cases where you only know what you know. So if you think you're allowed to do something and you have been allowed to do something,
Exactly.
why suddenly is there now this big change? And half of the industry is feeling like, am I even going to be able to do this anymore? And that's really scary. And I think you've obviously touched on it a couple of times about kindness within the industry. What's your kind of experience around that, or anything you've seen? I'm
So
assuming specifically on social media, which is always a bit?
Yeah, so I since I've never really had much problems, to be honest with you. But since obviously having my clinic and things like that, I've noticed there's a lot of sort of like people trying to bring you down, sort of saying nasty things, not very kind. And I feel like as a woman, like we should all stick together and support each other. I mean, I would help absolutely anybody. I've had ladies coming in here and they've got vascular occlusions. You know, the practitioner might have been out of her depth. She didn't really understand. I would never, ever in a million years decide, oh, let's film this and tar this person all over social media. I think it's wrong. I don't do that. But there's a lot of that going on. A lot of people trying to poach work, getting clients through bad mouthing somebody else. And you know, clients aren't always honest. You'll know yourself. So that client might have gone on a model day. She might have had that for free and she's got lumpy, bodged up lips, but they're not going to be honest with you. And then now they're tarnishing that person. Now this practitioner's put them all over social media. And now that person's out of a job and out of work when she might have done 20 sets of absolutely amazing lips, but she was practicing on you. Does that make sense? I don't believe in any of that stuff, bad mouthing and tarnishing other people, because, you know, as women, we've got this far in life where actually women are more successful than men and can earn a lot more money than men. And then now all of a sudden we're getting tarnished and we're all bullying each other. It's not fair. We should all stick together. I would help anybody, anyone that come through my door, I would never turn them away. And I just believe that everybody should be like that. Be kind. Mental health matters. So that was quite a big thing for me.
Yeah, and that's a really nice message that you've actually shared, and a good reminder for people as well. I think when you were saying about, you know, about clients being potentially honest or not honest with us, it's just like when you see reviews for restaurants, like nobody goes there, has a nice time and thinks I'll write a review. It's only ever the people who have had that one-off terrible service that
So
write
they decide, yeah.
that
And it's
write.
not fair. You know,
Mhm.
I've had it done to me before, you know, from a client that I've done for years. She wasn't happy with her lips because they wasn't big enough. However, she couldn't have them big enough, any more bigger, because the filler just wouldn't fit into her lips and it's not appropriate, it's not ethical. But obviously she didn't like that. So what she did was she wrote a bad review on Google about me. The only person that's ever done that. But then obviously when you look, she'd actually wrote that on a lot of other people's pages. So there, you know, it's not very nice, but it's the times that we're living in and that people do that to you. So yeah, it's about, you know, everyone should be kind, but in the world that we're living in, obviously that's just not going on at the moment, really, with some people, especially over social media. It's the world's worst over social media at times, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like social media is to blame for a lot of things. And I suppose maybe from my perspective or my opinion, I think that a lot of this jealousy and hate comes from feeling like, well, you've got the clients and I want the clients. So it's a case, you know, a way of trying to technically steal these clients is by
It is.
bad mouthing. But there's
It is.
clients for everybody. There's
There is, and I did a video a little while ago, and that's what I said. There's clients. It's like aesthetics has become like hair and beauty now. There is enough clients for everybody. You don't need to be dirty and badmouth somebody else and say, oh, she's done it, because you know ultimately yourself. You know, whatever you do to a client is how they look after themselves, so what they put into their body. You know, the client's not going to be honest with you if they're not. You know yourself. Well, actually, look how dry your skin is. You're telling me that you drink loads of water. Well, what do you think Botox and fillers going to do for you if you're not looking after your insides? Does that make sense? So it's about education and things as well, isn't it? But I think we're just living in a world now where people just want something for nothing as well. And we're just sort of living in times where people are, yeah, just behaving dirty and just like this, really. So, yeah.
it's definitely hard to manage and potentially something people don't think about when they're coming into the industry and creating these new businesses and new business pages, that actually that is something we need to think about. And I suppose along that line, talking about sort of social media and content, I've obviously seen your Instagram pages, fantastic content on there. Do you think that's an important part of kind of maintaining your business and getting more clients in?
Oh, massively. I believe that I built my business on social media. That is how I built it, really. And then obviously word of mouth. But social media is huge. Obviously, It's rubbish because the algorithm on Instagram right now, like you know, it doesn't matter how many followers you've got, you've just got to hit off and get into the algorithm. But you know, it's massive. It's absolutely huge in getting your business out there. TikTok, massive. But yeah, social media is been a massive thing for me in my business, definitely.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
I suppose then, kind of like a general question, really, for someone that's kind of brand new, starting out in the industry, what would you give as some kind of suggestions or tips to get going and get the first clients in the door?
So anybody that is just starting out, I would highly recommend that they get themselves some good content, obviously of themselves, obviously setting up social media, getting faces, obviously to get yourselves out there, put your client base on there. But social media, definitely the biggest thing I would say is to get yourself Instagram and TikTok and start making reels, even if it's just little clips together. To get your views up, to get yourself out there, really, to get sort of your first bookings, and education. So the more that you can educate your clients, doing videos of yourself, letting them know about you and your story, then I find that more clients will want to come to you. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
that's the best bit of advice that I can give.
Yeah, that's really helpful. So thank you for sharing that. I really feel, from someone who's also trained in aesthetics and someone who's been a client for many years, I also think that it's about building that relationship and that trust, so that person wants to come back to you specifically because you've built that and you've maintained that sort of connection with them, just through, like you say, sharing aftercare, and they've seen you on social media, they know what you look like before they come, and things like that really helps.
Yes.
Having
So
a
definitely putting your brand, your face to your brand will definitely help. And obviously, the more that people know that you're educational and you know exactly what you're talking about, and obviously fulfilling that onto social media with your sort of whatever marketing strategy that you're following, will definitely help, because people can see you, they know what you're talking about. And obviously, if you are new to aesthetics, and letting them know where you've trained, your experience, obviously putting up some before and afters so people can see your work, will definitely get you going. And just a little pointer as well, from when I first started out doing aesthetics, I remember a lady who was my prescriber, and I used to say to her, how have you built this? How did you get here? And she used to say to me, well, it started off one client a month, then one a week, two a week, three a week. And that's the truth, sort of. And then you just build it up, and then all of a sudden you've got this massive client base. But don't ever feel worried, is what I want to say to people, because you might end up with just one a week for 6 months, but then all of a sudden people will get to know you and recognize you. And also always remembering, it's not just social media. Get yourself out there with leaflets, get networking with your local businesses, things like that, gyms, places like that, to really get your name out there. So
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. And don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to kind of rave about yourself and
No, yeah, exactly.
for sure.
Is
I'm
that
really
whole
glad
saying, you gotta fake it until you make it, honey?
that's true. That is true. I definitely agree with that.
No, definitely. I
I'm
love
really,
that saying.
yeah, for sure. I'm really glad you actually mentioned faces as well, because I know you're one of our fantastic users, so we very much appreciate you using faces. Could you kind of just tell us a bit about what you use faces for and how that's supported your business?
So I use Face a lot, obviously, for my students, because it's amazing, obviously, to just get them on there, to be buying their stock, to link them with, obviously, prescribers, to be working safely. Obviously, there's a lot of educational things on there. It's just amazing. I use it myself for all my consent forms. And the best thing that it's good for is, obviously, you know, you can fire off a consent form before your clients come in. So if there's any issues, any problems, it's all addressed there. So you've sort of already built up something that you can already talk about if that client's got lots of allergies, things like that, or you don't really want to treat that client before they've come in, and you've got to have that awkward conversation. You can just give them a little call and just say, you know, I've looked at your consultation form. And that's what I find, for me, that it's best for. You can tweak it to put your own questions in. Obviously, for me, diet intake and fluid intake is massive in aesthetics, because obviously what you're putting into your body, eating and drinking, is massive on how it's going to affect your skin, smoking, drinking. So I like that you can sort of play about with it in that way. You can literally do anything on there, take deposits, put your clients on there. It's literally the one of the best apps that you can have, because it's got absolutely anything you need. You can go on Faces and get it. So, and I've used it since I think Faces was invented and come out. I think however many years it's been going, I've had Faces. So, and every single one of my students, they are on Faces and they use Faces and they don't have any problems. And yeah, it's just great. It's an easy tool to use. And most of all, it's free. You don't have to pay for it. So why would you not want to use it, really?
Yeah,
So,
well,
yeah.
I think that was kind of our aim, is trying to have everything there on one platform to make our practitioners' lives just easier, because when we're in clinic, you're busy, like time is of the essence usually. And as you mentioned, like being able to send out consent forms prior to someone coming in, so you already know what's going on, saves a lot of time, because when we forget we're running a business as well.
Yes.
Which is time consuming. So our aim is for Faces to kind of relieve some of that pressure and just have everything there literally at the
Yeah, no, exactly. And obviously, if you're working as a team as well, obviously it's so handy. Like here, we're working as a team, so we might have, we do semi-permanent eyebrows or doing facials, laser hair removal. So all of our consent forms and everything is documented into one place. So literally anybody that needs it, we've got it on our phones. If we've got a problem, someone calls us, we're not in the clinic, we could just log in on our phone and we know straight away, actually this, and it's just so much easier to just have all that. I mean, I've still got paper documents obviously from before I started using Faces, because you have to keep them for 10 years. But I mean, I've got piles and piles like this, and if I carried on that way years ago, I mean, I don't even know in this clinic where we would have them right now. So yeah, it's just more convenient. And you'll know that they're always there. It's easy to, whenever they need to, every 6 months, medical disclaimer form right there, fire it off, job done.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm kind of glad that we're able to support in that way, where it just makes your lives easier, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you obviously mentioned,
I just want to add as well, actually, any problems or anything like that, even say if you go on to buy a prescription and the payment doesn't go through because it's something on your end, within seconds you've got somebody on the chat saying, I'm really sorry, I've reset that, do that again. So you're always well supported. Does that make sense? So anything, and even all the pharmacies on there, they're great. You always get your products next day. So yeah, it's good. It's a good tool, good app.
yeah. Oh, I'm glad you think so. I very appreciate that review there. As you kind of just mentioned, the pharmacy, obviously that's something that we have on our Faces app. I kind of wanted to just round off the podcast with what your plans are for the future, because I know you've mentioned something to me prior to this recording. So if you wanted to kind of share with everyone what's your plans for the future and your business.
So my plans for the future are that I will be on the app myself, signing up as a prescriber, so that I can prescribe for obviously anybody that's on the app, and prescribe for my own students, because obviously that would be better for me and my students, and obviously then they can do it straight from Faces, which is amazing.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I mean, that's super exciting, and it's been lovely to hear about your whole journey to where you are now, and also your future plans, which sounds fantastic. So thank you very much for being on the Faces podcast. Before we sign off, did you just want to let everyone know where they can find you in real life and on social media?
So I am based in Witham in Essex, is my main clinic. We also have a pop-up clinic in South London, Surrey Way. And I'm HB Aesthetics in Witham, like I just said, and our Instagram is HB_aesthetics.
Amazing. Well, thank you again for being on the Face It podcast. We really appreciate it.
That's fine. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.